Hello and welcome to edupediaworld.com. In the last session, we have gone through what is production and production function and the various concepts related to production function. In this session, we'll be starting with short run laws of production. Before starting this law, let's understand what is cost. Suppose I have to increase my production. So I have to employ more resources, that is, I have to spend on land, labor, capital, then raw material, and which will increase my cost. So I have to decide a point up till what I should increase upon my resources so that my output is also increased but my per unit cost decreases. Let's take a simple example to understand this. Suppose I want to promote economics and how wonderful this subject is. So I need to produce banners which says I love economics and post them everywhere. But I don't want to do this work alone because I think that I am really good at supervisory capacity but not doing the job myself. So right now I have 0 employees, and so the output is also 0. Now suppose I employ Lee. So my employees increases to 1, and Lee is capable of producing 6 banners at a particular time period. So now the employees has increased to 1 and the output has also increased to 6. Now I want more output, more banners. So I employ Angelina. Now my employee has increased to 2. And Lee and Angelina together, when they work in a team effort, they produce, say, 14 banners. Wow, what a drastic change. By just doubling the number of laborers, I am more than doubling the output produced. Now suppose I want more output. So I go for employing one more labor. Say suppose I bring on Oliver also to the team. Now my employees has increased to 3, but the output which I get by employing 3 employees, it's just 21. Although the total output has increased, but if we see like the time period when we employed Angelina, the output has more than doubled. But in case of employing Oliver, the output is less than double. So we see here that total productivity is increasing, but the add-on productivity has decreased. Now suppose I want more employees to increase the productivity. So I go for employing one more person, Katie, and as soon as I employ Katie, my productivity increases to 24. Oh my god, now look at this. After Oliver, still it was fine, it was 21. But Katie, what is she contributing to the organization? She has the same skill, she has the same efficiency, but what is she contributing to the organization? Is just 3 units? No, it's not because Katie is lazy or something and she's contributing 3 units. It's not like that. I am although increasing the number of employees, that is the labor force, but what about my all the other resources, that is non-labor resources? For example, the desktop which is needed in order to produce print the banners, the office furniture, the table, the chairs. Am I increasing on that? No, I'm not increasing on these resources. And suppose there were just only 3 desktops in the organization. So how come 4 people will be working on 3 desktops? So obviously per labor efficiency will go down then. So as soon as I employ Katie, uh, before than this, Oliver, Angelina, Lee were using their separate desktops. But as soon as I employ Katie, she has to share the resources with these 3 people. So the productivity as soon as I employ Katie goes down. The total output will increase, but the per unit productivity has gone down. Now I go for employing one more employee, the fifth one, Nomi, and as soon as I employ her, the total productivity also goes down. Till now, only the marginal productivity was going down. But as soon as I employ Nomi, the total productivity also goes down. Now, what is happening? See, it's just the result of not increasing my other resources as compared to the employees. I am going on increasing the employees in the organization, but not my other resources. So ultimately, the total productivity starts going down. Now, this is not at all good for any business unit. The cost per unit is touching the roof. If we see, I have to pay the same amount to all these labor, but the productivity, the total product is not at all increasing. It has started going down. So business organizations need to identify that particular point from where their total product starts going down as soon as they employ one more variable input to the fixed inputs of production. Let's see that how can we calculate here the per person productivity. We say it as marginal product. When the employees were 0, the output was 0, so the marginal product will also be 0. When I employed one person, the output is 6, so the marginal product is 6. When I employed 2 people, the output is 14. So the per person output is 14 minus 6, that is 8. When I employed third person, the output has increased, total output has increased to 21, but per person it is 21 minus 14, that is 7. When I employed fourth person, then the output has increased to 24, but the per person output is 3, that is 24 minus 21. And when I employed the fifth person, the fifth employee, the output has basically decreased. That is 22 minus 24, which is negative, that is minus 2. So can we see here, if we have a look at this whole data, we can see here that up till a point when I have employed Angelina, my marginal product was increasing. What is the reason behind the increase in this marginal product? I can allot this to division and specialization of labor. See, when these both people were working together, maybe they have divided the task amongst them. Suppose the whole banner is all about I love economics. So maybe Lee has taken that he will print I love, And Angelina has taken up that she will go for printing economics. So ultimately, they have divided the task according to their specialization and have got the output to increase more than the double. As soon as I employ Oliver, my marginal productivity starts going down. And as and on, you can see here that the marginal productivity has now started going down. And till Katie, it was the total productivity was although increasing but at a decreasing rate because the marginal productivity was decreasing. But as soon as I go on for employing fifth employee, my total productivity has also started decreasing because due to the shortage of other resources available to these people. So my total productivity has also started decreasing as well as my marginal productivity has become negative. So let's now see that what does the law says. The law of diminishing returns, it states that when more and more units of a variable input are used with a given quantity of fixed inputs, the total output may initially increase at increasing rate. This what we have seen till Angelina. When we are employing her, the total output was increasing and even at an increasing rate. And then at a constant rate, as soon as I employ Oliver, the rate has become now constant, but it will eventually increase at diminishing rate. And as soon as I employ Katie, the total marginal productivity has started going down. So this was the law of diminishing returns. Now when we see the assumptions, this law assumes that labor is the only variable input, capital remaining constant. So because we have already seen that in short run some inputs will be variable and some inputs will be constant. So labor is the variable input and all the other inputs are considered to be constant, that is they will not change. Labor is homogeneous, means whatever skill one labor is providing, this all the other labors have the same skill, so like their efficiency is the same. So it's not the total productivity goes down not because of the efficiency of the labor, it is because we are employing more and more of variable inputs to fixed inputs. The state of technology is given, that is it is also constant, and input prices are also given, that is they are constant, and the input price the rate per labor is the same for all the labors employed. So these were the assumptions, and in the whole law we come across three types of productivity, that is total productivity, marginal productivity and average productivity. Let's see what are these. We have understood that what is total productivity, that is total productivity refers to the total number of output produced by all the employees in the organization. When we talk about marginal productivity we calculate it by change in total product as a result of change in labor, because labor is the variable input, so it will change when we want to increase the quantity produced. So mathematically speaking, it is change in total productivity due to change in the number of labor employed. So this is how we calculate the marginal product. Now what is average product? See, average product we calculate it by dividing the total units produced by the number of employees employed. That is, average product is equals to total product divided by number of employees. So in the first case, the total product, that is output, was 0 and the number of employees was 0, so the average product would be 0. In the second case, the total output was 6 and the number of employees was 1, so 6 divided by 1, it will be 6. In the third case, it was 14 divided by 2, that is 7. In the fourth case, it is 21 divided by 3, that is 7. In the fourth case, it would be 24 divided by 4, that is 6. In the last case, it would be 22 divided by 5. So we can see here that it's decreasing and it would be 4.4. So see, when we see the average product, up till Oliver, like till Angelina, it was increasing. When we reached Oliver, it became constant. When we reached Katie, it started decreasing, and in case of Nomi also, it was constantly decreasing. So this is how we calculate the average product. So now it would be clear that what is total productivity, what is marginal productivity, and what is average productivity. Now if we see the law clearly, we get to know 3 stages in the law, and that is just due to the marginal productivity of the organization. If we see here, up till when we have employed the second employee, the marginal productivity was increasing, this particular stage. So this is the first stage. Up till the second employee, this is the first stage, stage 1. And because the marginal productivity was increasing in this stage, so we call it stage of increasing returns. Now, as soon as we employ the third person, the marginal productivity goes on decreasing. After the employment of third employee, the marginal productivity goes on decreasing. From 6 to 8 it was increasing, then from 8 to 7 it went down. So this is the second stage, and this is the stage of diminishing returns. Now after this stage, the marginal productivity became negative. So this is the stage of negative returns. So we get 3 stages, that is increasing returns till the point when marginal productivity was increasing, then diminishing returns till the point when marginal productivity started going down, and as soon as the marginal productivity becomes negative, it is the stage of negative returns. Now here in the total output, that is the total productivity, we can see here that when the marginal productivity was increasing, total productivity was increasing at an increasing rate. So we call it as the stage of increasing return. As soon as the marginal productivity starts decreasing, the total productivity although increases, but it increases at a decreasing rate. So we call it as the stage of diminishing returns. And as soon as the marginal productivity becomes negative, the total productivity starts going down. So we call it as a stage of negative returns. So here we see increasing returns, stage 1 when the marginal productivity was increasing, stage 2 when the marginal productivity starts decreasing, and stage 3 when the marginal productivity becomes negative because the total productivity starts decreasing. Now we can show this law through a graph also. We take this same example, the same schedule, and we will plot it on the graph. See, when we have to see that what is the effect of the law on the total productivity in the short run, we take the labor on the x-axis and the output on the y-axis, the total output on the y-axis. See, as an on-I employee, the variable inputs on the fixed inputs, my total productivity initially increases at a increasing rate, and then it increases at a diminishing rate, and then it starts going down. So this is the total productivity curve. Up till this point it was increasing at a increasing rate. From this point to this point it increases at a diminishing rate, and from this point it starts going down. This is the effect of the law on the total productivity. What about the marginal productivity and average productivity? Let's see this. Again, we take the labor on the x-axis and the total output on the y-axis. The marginal productivity increases sharply and then it starts falling down and then it becomes negative. And what about the average productivity? This is the marginal productivity curve. And what about the average productivity? It increases at a constant rate and then it starts going down. This is the average productivity curve. We can see here that the average productivity curve falls below the marginal productivity curve, and the reason behind is that the average productivity, the rate of increase of the marginal productivity curve is more than the rate of increase of the average productivity curve. And we can also see that the marginal productivity curve cuts the average productivity curve on its maximum point. So this is the effect on the marginal productivity curve and the average productivity curve. Till the point the marginal productivity was increasing, again it was increasing returns, after that it becomes diminishing returns, and from this point it becomes negative returns. This is increasing returns, diminishing returns, and this is negative returns. So this is how we plot it on the graph. See, as we have already discussed that if we don't increase the other resources and go on increasing the employees, so till the point there is optimum utilization of the fixed factor, the productivity will increase. But after the optimum utilization of the fixed factor, the productivity will start going down. The reason behind the law of increasing returns can be attributed to two factors, that is indivisibility of fixed factor. Suppose there is a machine and it will give the maximum productivity until 100 laborers are employed on that machine. So if we initially employ 50 laborers on that machine, the productivity will be less than maximum, and as and on we increase on the number of laborers on the machine, the productivity will go on increasing till we employ the 100th labor on that machine. But as and on we increase the labor to 101 on that particular machine, the productivity per labor will go on diminishing. So because the fixed factor is indivisible in nature, that is why we get more productivity as and on we increase the variable input to the fixed input. Next factor is the division and specialization of labor. See, if there is a big organization and we are increasing upon the scale of the organization and we are dividing the whole organization into various units, suppose finance unit, finance department, production department, marketing department, etc. So we need to have different managers to manage all these departments. If we have just one manager to manage all these departments, the productivity will be less than maximum. But as and on we employ different managers for the different department, the productivity will increase. Suppose we have a separate manager for finance department, we have a separate manager for human resource department, separate manager for marketing department, the productivity will increase. But after that, if we further increase upon the scale of the production and the department also becomes big, there are more employees to be handled by just one single manager, so the productivity per manager will decrease. So this is also a main factor behind the law of diminishing returns. So this was all about the law of diminishing returns. Revising upon, it says that as and on we increase the variable inputs to a fixed input, fixed factor of production, the productivity initially increases at an increasing rate, then it increases at a constant rate, and then it starts diminishing. So for a business organization, if they have to take a decision as a business person, I should stop employing more labor as soon as my productivity starts decreasing. Instead, I should invest on other resources before hiring labor. That is, I should invest then on fixed factor, increase the fixed factor, then only I should go for hiring more labor in order to increase the productivity. So this was all about the short run laws of production. In the next session, we'll be starting with the long run laws of production. Till then, have a nice time and thank you.